Hey everyone, a very warm welcome to all of you to today's podcast. Today I have a guest who don't need any introduction to IIT Ajanta. But if you don't know him, I have Dr. A.K. Chaturvedi with us. Hey sir, welcome to podcast. We are very delighted that you have with us today.
I'm very happy to be a part of this.
How are you?
Doing fine.
So sir, today we are sitting here in this Thompson building, which has like its own long history of 175 years. And for past 5-6 years, you must have been coming here on a daily basis.
Right.
So does its beauty, like you would still admire it, or you have gotten a lot of it?
No, this building is quite inspirational in the sense that it reminds you of its long history. It also reminds you the kind of planning that would have gone into the construction of this building, design of this building. And so I don't think one can get enough of it. I think it is something that keeps you very, target oriented, that you must do better and better. You must get good at things. You must try to promote good things, try to be more and more excellent at things. So you cannot get enough of it.
So like it has a deep meaning for you, the building?
Actually, if you ask me, it has a deep meaning for every member of the IIT Roorkee family. And if you go on to any IIT Roorkee event, or if you do a simple Google search, it is this building that comes up.
Yes, sir.
So in some ways, it is synonymous with IIT Roorkee.
Yes,
I mean, if IIT Roorkee, if you ask somebody, one thing that immediately clicks in the mind is this building. So it is like indistinguishable.
Yes, sir.
What is IIT Roorkee in this building? So, naturally, because the history started from this building, so it is not surprising. But this is very awe-inspiring building. It's a building that remains in your mind. So that is also all the more reason that we relate to it immediately.
Right. So coming to journey of yours, you have completed your graduation, masters, and PhD from IIT Kanpur.
Right.
So a true IITian indeed. The journey of IITian began with JEE itself. So how was JEE at your time? Was it as much hyped as it is right now, or the coaching scenario, was it similar to what it is right now?
JEE has been very very hyped up, as you are saying, yes, since a very long time. In fact, much before I appeared in JEE, it was already carrying a lot of prestige, a lot of importance, and it was something that students who would love mathematics and physics would naturally get inspired or gravitate towards it. So that way, that part of it probably has grown a bit. I'm not saying it has not grown, but at the same time, it is quite similar also in that sense.
Okay.
Regarding the coaching culture, I would say definitely today's coaching culture is much more than what it was at that time. But at that time also, there was coaching, and there was significant amount of coaching that was available. And I remember correspondence coaching classes were there, in the sense that they would send study material, and using that study material, students would prepare for the JEE exam. So coaching was prevalent. It is not that coaching was not there.
Okay. So like you also took some sort of coaching back in your days?
So actually, I did not take any coaching, but what happened, one of my friends, he had taken one popular correspondence coaching.
Okay.
So I don't know whether it is there in today's time or not. During my time, it was known as Agarwal coaching classes. It was not a physical coaching class.
Okay.
It was like they would prepare course contents, they would prepare sample questions, so they will give you practice questions. So it was not like somebody teaching in the class. It was not like a physical instructional class. It was purely correspondence. That means study material would come by post. It's up to you to study it or not study it.
Okay.
So one of my friends had taken it, and sort of I also got
joined him.
Right.
So you also got to know about IIT after your 10th only, or was it something?
Actually, my journey is somewhat different in the sense that I was fascinated towards the subject of physics.
Okay.
So I wanted to do physics after class 12. And so I think somewhere around class 10 or class 11, we started exploring this question as to which will be a good institute to pursue physics. And my brother was studying in Kanpur already in the medical college.
Okay.
So I happened to, naturally, this was a conversation in the family. So this came up that IIT Kanpur does offer very good course in physics. So during my class 11, actually I visited IIT Kanpur once from Lucknow. I used to live in Lucknow. And so I visited IIT Kanpur once. And then it was very easy to decide that I think if you have to pursue physics, then also JEE is the best way to pursue it. So I was not after too many coachings, or I was not after the per se engineering profession per se, but I was more like after academics or something to take up in the research profession.
The theoretical side of physics?
Not necessarily theoretical, I mean the research side of physics, teaching and research side.
Yes, sir. So from then the transition happened after clearing JEE?
No transition happened. Actually, you see, I'm still like that only.
Okay.
See, in the sense that I joined IIT Kanpur, at that time, a lot of people said that at your rank, I got electrical engineering. It was quite sought after at that time. So people said, why don't you take electrical engineering? And here also there's a lot of overlap with physics, and if you want to switch to physics, you can do that. So I did accept the advice that was offered by a lot of people, and I did take an admission in electrical engineering. But then my life has remained the same in the sense that I still do teaching and research.
Yes,
so whether I do physics or whether I do electrical engineering, as long as I'm in the academic world, it is something very similar.
So like back in those days, where these quotes like "ek baar IIT kar lo to life settle hai," like were they still prevalent in your time too?
Well, even now it is not prevalent. People think that it is prevalent.
Yes, sir.
When you do class 10, you think, okay, you have done everything. When you do class 12, you think you have done everything. When you enter JEE or IIT, you think you have done everything. When you graduate from IIT, you think everything. But till you are breathing, life is still throwing challenges at you, opportunities at you. And you want to be ambitious. You want to achieve more and more in life. So that was never true. I mean, neither in my time nor during your time. It's just like for a short term, people think like that.
So, as you said that after getting, like before getting to IIT, you had an ambition of pursuing research as a career.
Yes, teaching and research.
Okay, so like doesn't your parents said any time ki, "Arey, engineering karke job le le, fir settle ho ja"?
So actually, I've been very fortunate, I would say. My parents have been extremely supportive. They would say that you have to make your choice. And this is, I'm talking 40 years back. So my parents were ahead of their own generation. So they never gave me the impression that they want me to do anything that they would like, that would satisfy them or that would make them happy. They just gave complete freedom that
to make your own choices.
You make your own choice, whatever pleases you. Normally, if you are happy doing something, you will be good at it. So there was absolutely no pressure. Maybe some extended family, if you look at, there were some people who had some expectations that I should do this or that.
Can relate to you.
But not immediate family. There was absolutely never any pressure. So that's what my parents were probably ahead of their time.
In one of your interviews, you mentioned that in India, most of the technologies are confined in labs only, and the most of the technologies are not converted into products. Like they are only confined to labs only. So, what initiatives have you taken here at IIT to ensure that such innovation are not confined only to labs of IITR?
See, what I would have said probably is that lot of technologies that are developed in the lab have the promise to come to the marketplace.
Hmm.
And but that journey is not a one-step journey or a simple journey. It is a journey that has to be undertaken by somebody, and we do not have many people who are willing to undertake that journey, because from the lab to the marketplace, the journey is as tortuous as when you create something in the lab, if not more.
Hmm.
When you create a product, when you take it to the marketplace, you have sometimes, or maybe many times, most times, a bigger hill to climb, a more steep hill to climb.
Hmm.
Because you have to convince the users, you have to bring in the finance, you have to bring in people, create a team.
Hmm.
You have to make sure that you have good marketing skills. You have to make sure that you have good managerial skills.
Hmm.
So it is something that is desired, but it is something that is not easy or does not come to everyone easily.
Hmm.
So what I have been trying to do, or many people who are in a position similar to mine have been trying to do, is create more awareness at multiple levels. First awareness is that why this is required.
Hmm.
So this is required not only so that the person can earn more money, it is required not only because it will make somebody else's life easier, because the product may have some value, and so because of that value, it will bring some convenience or some comfort to the people involved. But there are larger goals. Larger goals are that our country's economy needs to grow.
Hmm.
How will the country's economy grow? It will not grow unless we create more businesses.
Hmm.
So this journey from the lab to the market is essentially the journey of creating a business. And when you create a business, you give employment to so many people.
Hmm.
You strengthen the hands of the government by giving more taxes to the government.
Hmm.
So then the government can invest in many more social welfare schemes that it wants to, but its hands are tied. You might have heard about this very popular phrase that has been going on for the last 5-7 years, that we want to make India a $5 trillion economy.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Why this phrase? Because if the size of the economy grows, then there are many fruits that will follow from it. And how will the size of the economy grow? By taking products or by taking innovations, inventions from the lab to the market. That is one very strong way of increasing the size of the economy.
Hmm.
There are other ways also. It is not that everything has to be invented or researched. There are other ways of also creating business.
Hmm.
But this is one very important way by which innovations can lead to the growth in the economy.
So where do you see IITR in it? Like how much we have grown?
See, if you look at IIT Roorkee, so IIT Roorkee has grown tremendously. In fact, as I said in the beginning, that this is more a question of making people aware that why this is required.
Hmm.
Once people become more and more aware of it, I think many things follow. And this thing will also happen. It is not something that, as I said, will come easily, because employment is a very easy route. I just become an employee.
Hmm.
I take up a good job. I get paid well. Me and my family are doing well.
Hmm.
So it does not come naturally to many people. But once you increase the awareness, many things follow. So there are initiatives at multiple levels. For example, which is the target force which you expect can do this? So there are two segments in IIT Roorkee. One segment is the large student population.
Hmm.
The other segment is the faculty. So at the student population level, we have, for example, created a position of General Secretary, Entrepreneurship Affairs.
Yes, sir.
The whole idea was that this will give the students more visibility to the importance and to the need for entrepreneurship. You might have seen that every Sunday you get an email.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So that email, why was it started? That email was started essentially to make sure that this captures the imagination of the student's mind.
Hmm.
Because if even 5 to 10% of our students get excited towards it, right? It will have a very fast, rapid rate of growth. It can become an exponential rate of growth because we'll get more and more role models.
Yes, sir.
And the more role models you get, the more chances are there that more people will follow it.
Yes, sir.
Will follow it. Similarly, you might have seen that last 1 year we created a new award. In fact, one of our alumnus has donated money to create an award for the student who works most to improve the entrepreneurship culture in IIT Roorkee.
Okay.
So this is the first time that award will be given.
Okay.
This is the first year. You already know that there is a technology business incubator in the campus, TIDES.
Yes, sir.
And TIDES does several events and activities. In fact, TIDES brings lots of money to the campus so that it can give seed grant, it can promote the students in taking up. In fact, not only to students, we also allow people from outside IIT Roorkee to come in and incubate and to start things in this direction. There are several other initiatives like IIT Roorkee has a faculty entrepreneurship policy.
Okay.
So our faculty are allowed to incubate company, and many faculty have come forward. In fact, that number would be now more than 10. The faculty who have come forward and incubated their companies.
Okay.
And naturally, these companies are more technology oriented. We want to promote technology. And these companies also have, I mean, just like any other company, to become big, to sort of grow. And then there are several Government of India initiatives like the Technology Innovation Hub, that Divya Sampark you must have heard of in IIT Roorkee. So that Divya Sampark also is in the business of promoting incubation. So there are several windows of opportunity that IIT Roorkee offers. You might have, I mean, I'm sure you must have heard about eCell.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So eCell is the full-time job of eCell is that. Then they do an annual summit every year. There is a 3-day event that is done specifically for this purpose. So all these efforts are directed in this to make sure that more and more of our students take up this. And in fact, this is happening also. You might have heard about FAMPay.
Yes, sir.
Right? So FAMPay is our recent graduate.
Sambhavjan.
So Sambhav and Kush.
Yes, sir.
So both were the students during my time only.
Yes, sir.
Right? And see immediately results are there. They are going bigger and bigger. And similarly, there are many other examples from senior alumni, from mid-career alumni who are doing it. So there is not only a desire, I mean, it's almost sure that our entrepreneurship culture has improved significantly, and more students are willing to work in that direction and take up that as a profession.
So, in terms of infrastructure, labs, I think all the new buildings are coming up. The startup culture, as you said, is also growing in the campus, and new initiatives are coming up every month. And even in the QS World ranking, as we see, we have improved this year alone by 21 positions. And
31 positions.
31 positions, sorry. From 400 to 369, I guess.
And this is the best ever rank
of IIT Roorkee. And we also grabbed that 5th position on Atal Innovation Rank.
Correct. ARIA ranking.
So, what factors do you think are behind it?
Right. So, if you ask me what factors have contributed, maybe we can talk for half an hour only on that alone. It's very difficult to pinpoint one thing.
Yes, sir.
Right? We are a big IIT. We are a large IIT. We are one of the old IITs. Old, large IIT. So in a large IIT, when things happen, it's all a combination of various factors. Right? It's difficult to say that only one thing or two things or three things were responsible for it. First thing is we must understand that there has to be an institutional desire to aspire for more. Right? And I can see that is there. The students, the faculty, they're all hungry for success. They all want that they deserve to be at a higher pedestal, and they are willing to work in that direction. The institute, of course, provides its catalysts that how we can catalyze this, how we can tap into this desire to convert into results. So many policy decisions happen. Some happen at the Senate level, some happen at the board level, some happen at the level of the director. But essentially, if you ask me, if I have to summarize, so I think the few things that are that have contributed in this direction is that we have tried to make our institute accept that every stakeholder has a role to play.
As in students and faculty?
Yes. Even non-teaching staff.
Of course.
Even non-teaching staff. So it is not that only with the effort of faculty or only with the effort of students or only with the effort of non-teaching staff or only with the effort of the director, things can change or things can improve. So if we think that every stakeholder is important, then we must care for every stakeholder. We must care for the students. We must care for the faculty. We must care for the non-teaching staff. In the journey of growth, there are many pains. Whenever we grow, there are pains also. Now, those pains have to be adequately addressed, whether it is for the students, whether it is for the faculty, all the stakeholders. Second thing I would say is that there should not be any need to say that faculty is more important or students are more important. So there should not be any hierarchy in that sense.
No comparison with stakeholders.
No hierarchy. I mean, both are equally important, right? If you can address the concerns, if you can make them feel more a part of the institute, they will be going the extra mile to work for the institute. So everybody has to be has to feel that he or she is responsible for the betterment of the institute and has a role to play. So whether it is sports, look at our sports, look at our inter-IT tech competition. So inter-IT tech competition, just 2 years back, we got the first rank.
Yes, sir.
Right? So, I mean, it is the effort of a group of maybe 200, 300, 400 students.
Yes, sir.
But every such glory shows to everybody else that what we are capable of. And then if you know that you are capable for more, it is not difficult for you to become more ambitious.
More hungry.
More hungry. So it is just create the hunger. I mean, also make sure that everybody feels that he or she is important for the system. And then the system, I'm talking about a large IIT.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, and then naturally the stakeholders reward the institute.
Like they have done.
Like they have done. And hopefully they will continue to do that in future also.
So what things, like, do you feel that they are still there and we have to work upon them as well?
See, first thing we have to realize is that in today's competitive world, even retaining the rank is a very difficult job. Right? So it is not something that, okay, this year we have to work hard and then from next year we can go to sleep.
Yes, sir.
So this is a never ending journey. Any time any institute becomes slack, that institute is going to slip. In fact, as I said, even if you work very hard, even if you give your best, your rank may still be very difficult to retain because everybody else is competing. So it is like a competition. So this thing is never going to end. I mean, it is not that, okay, we have to do these 3 more things or 4 more things. But this more important thing is the direction. So the direction that we have taken is that everybody needs to realize his or her potential. That direction is important. And that direction will continue to propel the future growth of the institute.
Where do you see the institute in 5 years from now?
See, I believe that IIT Roorkee has the potential, and in many directions it has already shown that to be in the top 3 or 4 institutes of the country. Right? That is clearly within reach. The efforts of the students and faculty have shown that it is clearly within reach. But when I say within reach, I also am trying to say that we are still not there. Right?
Yes, sir.
So, we have to make sure that if we focus more on doing the core things well means that if we are focusing on research, let us not focus on too much of research. Let us focus on quality research. Let us focus on taking whatever we do to its maximum impact. Instead of doing something, leaving it, starting something new. That is something that we have to avoid. Take up something and take it till you can extract whatever maximum you can extract from there. Okay. Here I mean that if it is possible to patent it, do that patenting process. If it is possible to commercialize it, do that commercialization. If it is possible to create a company out of it. That entire facilitation mechanism is in the institute. As you know, institute has been taking care of entire patenting expenses.
Yes, sir.
Right? We introduced that 4.5 years back. And you can see that the number of patents has been increasing at a very rapid pace. I think we can easily do double of what we are doing. Okay. We are still, I think, working at 50% capacity.
So you are thinking that we are not harnessing our true potential right now?
No, still that awareness gap is there.
Okay.
Still that direction, orientation, correction is required. So because we become satisfied with the publication in journals, while actually we must not be satisfied with that, we must also work in direction of creating patents and also going one step ahead to create commercialization wherever possible. That will not happen in every patent, but wherever it is possible.
Okay, if that
change is inevitable, yes. That is happening. But whether it will happen in 5 years or can you do it in 3 years, that is the whole thing. So recent years, I would say we have improved at a very rapid pace. Can we maintain that pace, or maybe we can even hasten that pace in the years to come?
So the year you joined here, there was these restrictions on girl students, and it was in your tenure only like those restrictions were lifted. So can you tell us a bit background on what was that, and what was the context, and what was admin's perspective on it?
See, actually, the week that I joined IIT Roorkee, I think towards the end of that week, some girl students came and met me. They said that there is a timing restriction in the hostel and they are allowed to come back to the hostel by that time. And then they are not allowed to go back without taking permission. They need permission to go out. So I said, because I have joined only very recently, so I am not aware of this. You give me some time to find out what is the current rule and what is the rationale and whether there is a need for change. I said I cannot promise you anything, but I can only say that I will study what is the current system and I will see what best can be done. So they heard me patiently and they said that is fine. And then I started talking to all the concerned functionaries, the concerned deans, the professors in charge of security, and started taking their opinion as to what is the current provision and what is the background for that and why we cannot change it. Many apprehensions were expressed that we need to continue with the status quo. We should not change it. The apprehensions were mainly because people felt that security is very important and we cannot compromise on security. Which was quite a genuine concern. I must say that security cannot be compromised, which is true. And but during the course of these frequent meetings, I was doing those meetings quite frequently. It became clear that it is possible to remove these restrictions without compromising on the security. And in fact, it is probably something more to do that when we have something, we become very comfortable with it. And so we probably feel that any change may create a big issue. Sometimes it is not like that. And so after several rounds of meetings and discussions, it became obvious and clear to all the members of the team that I think the time has come for us to change. And I was very happy that when all my team members, the deans and the professor in charges, they all agreed to it. And then we issued a notification that it will will not be there. In fact, we made it clear that there will be no discrimination between boys and girls. Both are allowed to go to their common areas, not to the private, the rooms, but to the common areas they can go. And also, if a boy student can go to any part of the campus 24 hours, any time of the day or night, same thing can be done for the girl also. Campus community, there were apprehensions, and I understand the apprehensions when it was done. But overall, the campus community has been extremely supportive of this and other changes that we have tried to introduce in the last few years. And I'm happy that it has come to stabilize. And the change was not only in IIT Roorkee, but it created a kind of a, I would say, cascading effect in the entire region around this. We got a lot of attention in the media, and a lot of institutions other than IIT Roorkee also followed IIT Roorkee. So in that sense, I would say the role model, IIT Roorkee became in some sense a role model in this aspect also, that in terms of giving importance to both the genders, equally importance, that was required. So it happened, and naturally the girls were very happy, and they actually celebrated that day. There were a lot of celebrations. Changes are possible, but it needs homework. And if you do homework, people see everybody in the team also understands that the time for change has come. And when you change, it is not to say that whatever was there in the past was not correct. I think in the past, what was there, it was as per their needs of that time. Today, there is a different time. We must change as per today's time. And so these changes can be done by involving all the stakeholders, by doing discussions, by making awareness level higher and higher, and also by carefully modulating the pace of the change.
Okay, so like when you come, this was one of the roadblocks of the institute. So are there any other roadblocks that you see?
See, I would say that there are globally accepted best practices for higher education. Right? It is not about IIT X or University X. It is about a globally accepted best practice. And I am very happy and satisfied that my institute, IIT Roorkee, has adopted almost all the globally accepted best practices. I'll give you several examples. See, for example, among the faculty, there is no system that there is a junior faculty or there is a senior faculty, right? It is like every faculty has some specialization in which he or she brings value to the department. There will be an area of research in which he or she is known globally amongst the peer group. And depending on the kind of research that faculty does or the kind of projects that faculty does, he or she is known. It has very little role what is the age of the faculty, what is the academic designation of the faculty. So this is known as a flat system. That means there is no hierarchy in the faculty. So it reflects in many ways. For example, if you go to the website of any department, you will see all the names of the faculty appearing alphabetically.
Yes, sir.
Right? If you look at the minutes of any meeting, the names of the faculty appear alphabetically. So this is what is known as a flat system. That is, there is no hierarchy. Now what it does is it empowers every faculty to contribute to the system. Nobody feels that he is less responsible. Nobody feels he is more responsible. Everybody feels equally responsible. Whether I am senior, whether I am junior, whether I am 2 years into the system, or whether I am close to retirement, right? I have a voice. I have an equal voice as anybody else. I can make a difference to the system just like anybody else. So because this empowerment happens, so it leads to the growth of the department and naturally to the institute itself. So that kind of best practice has been adopted in IIT Roorkee. Then if you look at the student participation. Now, when we go to the class, when we go to the laboratory, when we go to the exam hall, wherever we go, which is the party that the faculty is interacting with? It is the students. So naturally, one part of the story is with the students. Just like the teachers carry one part of the story, right? They have their impressions that this should be taught, this is the manner it should be taught, this is the time where manner in which assignments should be done, this is the manner in which exams should be done, right? They have a view, right? Similarly, the students also have a view. And how do you create a system which is good? By hearing both parties. So what has IIT Roorkee done in that direction? In the Senate of IIT Roorkee, now we have student representatives who present the students' side of any topic under discussion.
Okay.
And because of this, we were able to bring in several changes. General Secretary Academic Affairs, UG is there, General Secretary Academic Affairs, PG is there, Convener SAC is there, PhD representative is there. So they all can give their view of things, their perspective of things. And in fact, I remember that several 2018, 19, 17, several general secretaries actually worked closely with me also in creating agenda items, in doing the homework, because I would always say, don't take anything to the Senate unless you have done the homework. So create the right background, create the right document, whatever change you want. And because the students did a lot of hard work, so a lot of changes were brought about in the academic system also. I mean, whatever they thought was required. So we have been able to take advantage of the viewpoint of students.
Okay.
We have been able to benefit from the presence of the students. So you know your department now, you have DAPC and DRC. Yes. There also we have student representatives. Yes, sir. Of course, I must also say at this time that many student representatives did not realize their role initially. Not everybody realized their role. Some realized, some did not realize. And so at some point, we did a meeting with all the student representatives in the Senate, that what is the purpose and what is your role? So the role is that you express your viewpoint in a free and frank manner. The role is not to make sure that whatever you think is accepted, it may or may not be accepted, because there are other people also who have a view. But it is important that you present your view. And that cannot be done unless you understand the whole issue. And that cannot be done unless you do good homework. Maybe I can highlight a few more things. For example, many times I have heard our students use the word admin.
Yes, sir.
Or administration.
Yes, sir.
Right? I advise them, don't use the word admin or administration. Right? You are also a part of it. Because you also sit in those committees. You have access to the dean. You have access to the director. You can write an email to the director. You can write an email to the dean. And it is not that the deans or the directors are divorced or insulated from the students, and that they live in a different world and you live in a different world, and they decide completely from their point of view only, without talking to you, without hearing you, without listening to you. So don't use the word administration. You say, if you want to say, you can say institute. You can say IIT Roorkee. You can say institute has decided this. Don't say admin has decided this, because it gives the feeling as if you are not a part of it. Like that way, IIT Roorkee loses something. If the student feels that he or she is not a part of the decision-making process of IIT Roorkee, that is a loss to IIT Roorkee. Second thing I would say is that while amongst our faculty, we have been very clearly able to lay down that there is very little hierarchy. In fact, there is, I would say, no hierarchy, because everything, as I said, is done either alphabetically and in fact, we also do not mention the academic designations of the faculty members. So we don't mention assistant professor or associate professor or professor. We just refer to every faculty as Professor X, Professor Y. That way we do that. That has been very empowering, because we are able to harness the wisdom of every faculty. I want a similar thing among students also. Students are still having a lot of this culture of sir.
Calling your senior sir. And
see, sir is not the best way to pay respect. Sir brings in it brings in some kind of a
inferiority,
some kind of a barrier between the two. It brings some kind of an inhibition between friends, between students. There should not be any inhibition or barrier when two students are talking. It brings some kind of a hesitation in the conversation. So this year, when I addressed the students who joined, the first year students, this is one request I made them.
Okay.
That if we want to, continue forward on this march towards greater empowerment, greater progress in the institute. I think when it was used, sir, it was maybe at that time it was fine. In today's time, if the students refer to each other as sir or ma'am, those barriers should go away. Those inhibitions should go away. There should be free discussion. The more discussion is free, the better is the outcome. Right? It is not that because you are in the second year, hence everything that you say is inferior to what a third year student says. That is not true. Many times my student tells something that I have not thought of. I learned from my student. Right? So why can't a third year student learn from a second year student? I mean, why create these barriers? Similarly, even in the conversation that we had just now, you are referring to us as college. I mean, we are an institute.
Yes, sir.
Why use the word college? We should say IIT. We should say IIT Roorkee. I mean, let's not use the word admin. Let's not use the word sir or ma'am. Let's not refer to this as college. Another word that we can get rid of in our usual discourse is the word authority. Many people I have seen using the word authority. Authority has decided this. I mean, authority is somebody inaccessible, invisible. Who is inaccessible or invisible in IIT Roorkee?
No one is.
No one is inaccessible. Nobody is invisible. I mean, it is true that sometimes what you want is not accepted. That is true. It is true that sometimes what you suggest is declined. That is true, because the buck has to stop somewhere. Either the dean will take a decision, or the director will take a decision, or the senate will take a decision, or the board will take a decision. The buck will stop somewhere, right? But that doesn't mean that you refer to that someone or some entity as an authority.
Okay.
I mean, these are the things that weaken our institute. These are the things that can take that one extra mile that is required in addition to what the globally accepted best practices we have taken. If we can do away with these 3-4 things that I have mentioned, I think it will be a big leap forward. That dream of in the top 3 or 4 institutes of the country will be within reach within a very short time of 3-4 years.
Some part of the institute's old culture has been lost, and now I guess it is the best time to adopt all these practices and adopt a new culture, as what you have said.
See, never think that these changes are as if they are abrupt or they are like sudden. It is not that we are saying that everything in the past was not good. There are several good things. We must, as you say, don't throw the baby with the water, right? With the bucket. When you throw the bucket water, don't throw the baby there. So retain the good things, right? And the changes are not like abrupt, but there is a time for change. So those time for changes is there. You have asked actually 2 separate questions. So let me first answer the COVID part. See, it is very true that during COVID, the gap between the teachers and students increased. And similarly, the gap between the wardens and the deans and the students also increased. And similarly, the gap between the director and the students also increased. At every level that increased. And every time there is a gap, it leads to some kind of apprehension, some kind of a mistrust, some kind of a feeling of uncertainty. Right? These are not healthy things.
Yes, sir.
Right? So, now that you all are back in the campus, you should make sure that you reach out to the concerned people more often, more frequently, if possible in person. If not in person, then over WhatsApp or over email or over a telephonic conversation. Because we were meeting the students very frequently before the COVID. Right? That kind of interaction or that kind of access between the students, maybe it is needed less now. That is also possible. But I must say that COVID has played a role in sort of somewhat interrupting the momentum that we had. The great momentum that we had in terms of student participation in all decision-making process of the institute, that has been somewhat interrupted. But I would say the interruption is maybe 10-15% setback, not a big setback. Because even now email culture is there, even now students do write emails. But that in-person meeting, the physical meetings are, I mean, there is no substitute for them.
Yes, sir.
right? Just like today.
Yes, sir.
Right? Today, this is a physical meeting, in-person meeting. So there is no substitute for that.
Hmm.
So we must consciously work to address the gap that COVID has introduced. That is the first part of the question that you had asked,
Yes.
right? We must do that. Second part is, yes, we must adopt these best practices as soon as we can, as smoothly as we can. And the more we become aware that there is a need for it, it happens easily. So what I'm saying is that there is a need for it, and I know that it will not be difficult to adopt. It can be easily done.
Yes.
It will be done. Just like other things that I mentioned in the beginning, these things can also be done. I think our students will be very quick to address it. Our faculty have been very quick to address it. I mean, in the faculty, this culture of addressing sir has come down quite significantly. It has not completely gone away. It is still there, but it is coming down amongst the faculty.
Okay, so
amongst the faculty.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Because you are not meeting when two faculty are talking or something like that. It is coming down. So similarly, there is a need to bring it down among the students also, and this is to make sure that we get the best out of everyone. The idea is only that. The idea is nothing more than that.
Okay, sir. So, we had a poll among the students, right? What are the questions that you would like to ask to the director? And here are some of them. So, given the power of director, can you walk on the lawn in front of Thompson building without being caught by the guard?
I'll have to try it once. So then I can answer it. I have not tried it. Okay. So possibly I should not try it. Lawn is, it's a very well maintained lawn. It is something that is there from very old times. I mean, this is where good traditions have a role to play. This is a very strong tradition, very good tradition. I love this tradition. The maintaining this lawn, maintaining the way it has been. And so I think I should not tread on it.
So there are some changes that we should not bring.
That's what I always say. I mean, retain the strengths. Retain the strengths while bringing the changes.
Yes, sir. So moving on to the next question. Generally, freshers are asked what they will do if they are given a chance to become director for one day. So what things will you do if you are given a chance to relive your days as a student?
If I become a student?
Yes, sir.
So maybe what I will do is, one day is not good enough, maybe 1 month. You have to give me 1 month as a student.
Yes, sir.
So I have not been to all the canteens, I think.
Okay.
So in that sense, I mean, COVID has been a big spoiler. I mean, out of the 5 years that you get, I mean, almost close to 2 years, that kind of
yes, sir.
That kind of thing has happened. So I would say that I would definitely like to go to some student canteens and maybe past midnight, but I should not be recognized. So that is the whole problem. So how can I go? Maybe I have to. I mean, if you really make me a student, then I would spend time, maybe an hour in the canteen. And try and enjoy the surroundings.
So the most frequent questions which we received is about the accommodation issues faced by the girls.
Right.
So they have to share their rooms in 3rd and 4th year, and the 2nd yearites have to share the room with 2 other partners. So it's the wrong word, admin, but what's the point of view of the institute, and when we can see a solution for this problem?
Right. I think this is a very, very genuine problem. We fully understand the problem. We sympathize with the problem. In fact, all the concerned deans and the wardens, they fully appreciate the problem. I also understand the problem. We have been trying many ways to address this. The long-term solution or the best solution is only more hostels. And 2 hostels are under construction. If COVID would not have been there, right, these hostels, at least one of them would definitely be there. Already would have been there. And then this problem would not have been there. In fact, we started the hostel construction well in time. Some delays happened, which cannot be attributed to COVID. Some other reasons were there. But some of the reasons are due to COVID. And that has created this situation which we are not at all happy with. But very sure that summer of 2023, right, we will be in a comfortable situation. There should not be any further problems. And by the end of 2023, even the second hostel will come. Both the hostels would be there, and it will be problem will be addressed, adequately addressed. I can say that I feel very sorry that my students have to face this kind of difficulty. I have personally been to the rooms of the girls, visited the rooms of the girls, and I can fully, and the boys also, and I can clearly see that there is a situation which is not desirable, which is not acceptable. I wish we had a magic wand by which we could have addressed it.
Time is that magic wand, I guess.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so many students go for a non-core profile these days. The major reason being lack of opportunities in jobs and less knowledge regarding the research, careers in research. So, what steps can be taken to overcome this issue?
See, become more and more entrepreneurs. It's very simple. So, the more you spread the culture of entrepreneurship, right, you will not be seeking employment. You will become an employer, right? And if you become an employer, it is less important whether you are running a business which is your core business in which you have studied, or it is your some other related to something else. See, I think one thing that many students and probably parents also do not appreciate is that, for example, look at the BTech degree, right? So the BTech degree is a degree in engineering, right? The discipline is secondary. Civil, electrical, mechanical, that is the second part of it. So if you look at all the students who do engineering, they are all first engineers in terms of their education, and then the discipline to which they belong to, right? So the course should be interpreted more in the engineering sense, not in terms of the pure discipline sense. So if you take up some walk of life in which your engineering awareness, engineering knowledge is used, I think that way you will be able to contributing towards your core skills, core knowledge, not necessarily to the department from which you have graduated. But at a higher level, if you become an entrepreneur, then I would say even if you go into a non-engineering profession, that is still you are able to contribute because that is definitely the calling of the society. It is the calling of the country that we need more and more businesses, more and more entrepreneurs. So having put this in perspective, now if you look at why the students are going to what you say as non-core,
yes,
I think clearly opportunities are more, and clearly the dynamics of this is dictated more by the market, less by policies of any institute.
Yes, sir.
It is less to do with the policy of IIT Roorkee. It's more to do with the market dynamics.
Yes.
So I think we must understand what part is within our control, what part is not within our control. Right? Instead of feeling bad about it or feeling frustrated about something, let us accept that what is the market situation, because we cannot influence that too much. But at the same time, make sure what I said in the beginning, that take up any engineering profession, not necessarily to your discipline, and seriously think about starting a business or becoming an entrepreneur, because that way you can play a much bigger role, a much more impactful role in your journey, in your life journey, than compared to just becoming an employee.
And more contributing to the economy.
Yes, contribute to the economy. So if we start looking at it in a slightly broader perspective, yes, we can find more avenues to address this problem, and at the same time, different ways to look at the same problem.
Okay, sir. So these are some of the lighter ones. So do you also send good morning messages on family WhatsApp groups?
I do send to my daughter.
Okay.
I'm happy I had a straight answer to this. Not only good morning, I also send a good evening to her.
What is the best gift that you have received from a student of yours?
Oh, many gifts. Many gifts. So, no, it's very difficult to say. I mean...
you can mention some of them.
No, they are mainly in the form of emails.
Okay.
I mean, what else? It is not a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
It is like emails of whatever our association has touched their life, of how it has influenced their life,
Their success,
or whatever that gives them joy, whatever gives them happiness. So, or conversations in personal meetings. I mean, I would say that is my biggest gift. Either those conversations in person or telephone or over the email that many of my students have given. I don't think they have given me any physical gift per se, which I can remember. I mean, some of them have given, but yes. That will not come easily to my mind. It doesn't register that well in my mind.
Yes, sir.
So I may not remember them.